And it's my great pleasure. I don't think that there's a time in anybody's life when we haven't had the influence of the Power Rangers. I mean, we've all grown up with the Power Rangers, right? And like, it's just a fantastic thing to be able to welcome the Red Power Ranger himself, Austin St. John, to the stage. So let's give him a big hand, please.
Well, how are you guys?
All right.
12 what?
Wild Forest.
Wild Forest, yeah, all right. Forever Red. She knows her stuff. There was a big thing in my butt. Don't tell anybody I said that.
Well, it's a real pleasure to have you here. And can we go right back to the beginning? Like, did you ever see how influential, how enduring the Power Rangers is going to be? Like, I mean, we're here, we're still talking about the Power Rangers, and you're here with us.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind 30 years later that we can sit here and I can talk to you now as adults. Some of you were hiding behind your mom's legs, you know, you were 4, 5, 6, 9, little ones. And now we're sitting here as just bigger children talking about the same thing 30 years after. And, you know, some of your parents loved the show because we were the best babysitter that they had. Others of them hated the show because it was so violent. And to all of those parents, you should say, but you watched Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. That was violent. And now some of you are raising your own children, and you're showing them the show, showing them where it all started. And now Netflix has taken 700 episodes plus, less, give or take, I don't know, a lot off of Netflix, and now the only one on there is an NPR. So, and now we're looking at another reboot, and there's talks, all kinds of talks. I don't know which talks are the right talks, but lots of people are talking about what they should do next and who should be in it and the way it should go. So I had no idea, and I'm still clueless. I'm always waiting for the next thing.
So what do you think the secret is? Like, why is your fan base still so active? I mean, is it that generational appeal, growing up, showing your kids something cool that you have?
If I told you a secret, I would have to kill you.
I think you could do that too.
Very important, the secret of great Russian mafia. I mean, oh, Power Rangers, sorry. No problem. I think the secret is that we didn't limit any of the characters, not the men, not the women. We didn't limit them by sex, we didn't limit them by race, we didn't limit them by color. It was open. Everybody was their own hero by their own right. So whether you watched because you loved Kimberly, or Jason, or Zach, or Billy, or Trini, there was somebody there for you guys to identify with. And in later seasons, you know, even more of that's true. I think we've had so many different people from all around the world, representative of so many different anthropological backgrounds that just make the show unlike so many others. And we had live action, and we had robots, and we had really cool guitar music. And we destroyed the city every day and then rebuilt it for the show the next day. I mean, who else does that?
So how were you cast? How did that come about?
I went to the audition on a $20 bet.
Oh, that's a story.
That's the story.
I was a kid. I was in high school. I was legitimately a high school kid with attitude. And I taught martial arts. I played football. And one of my first martial arts students in Whittier came to my dojo, and he was an acting coach, a commercial acting coach. His name was Bob. And Bob, you know, was like, hey, you know, I run an acting school. We have tons of people. You should come up and take some acting classes. I was like, no. I don't like cameras. Don't like large groups of people. I don't want anything to do with that. I'm an introvert. I like my privacy. You know, see, like other people, my wife, she's loco. She loves everybody. She's like, put her in the party and she's having a great time. For me, I'm like, you go to the party, I'll read a book, go to the gym, pet the dogs, train the dogs, work out, whatever. So he was like, you should come to the class and take some classes. I said no. And he goes, Well, if you came and took some classes, you'd meet a lot of my students, and maybe you could pull some new students into your dojo. And I'm like, aha. All right, you got a deal there. So I showed up and definitely got more students, and they came to my dojo, and I was doing great. And things were great. About 3 weeks into it, he starts bugging me. He's like, hey, I heard about an audition. They're looking for teenagers with attitude that have martial arts, gymnastics, and other cool abilities. You should go. And I was like, no. And 3 weeks he nagged me, go, go, go. I was, no, no, no. And finally he says, I'll bet you $20 you won't be wasting your time if you go to the audition. I'm like, unlike now, gas was 92 cents a gallon. I could get a loaf of bread and some bologna. I had like lunch meat for a week in gas. So I was like, I'll take it, 20 bucks. So I went to the audition, and there were about 10,000 people that tried out for the first series. It was called Phantoms. And I lost 20 bucks. The show changed its name from Phantoms. My character's original name was Victor, which, how weird, can you imagine? Victor the Red Ranger, anybody? No. I mean, that sounds like something in a telenovela from Latin America. Kimberly, I'm going to need you to pull the Megazord around the front. It is time for us to go to battle. Oye, amigos. Like, how weird would that have been, right? Kimberly, what do you mean you will not go out with me tonight?
Don't dance with that kind of guy.
Yeah. Dígame qué pasó.
So, yeah.
See, Spanish novella, it gets you every time.
This is that foreshadowing thing you were talking about.
Oh, there's more to come, there's more to come.
So, your background in martial arts, you've got a black belt in Taekwondo, black belt in Judo, is that correct? Where did that come from? Like, how did you get into that?
Well, my dad was a martial artist. I started at 5 with my father. Then he went to war, in a war probably none of you have even heard of. It was in El Salvador against the FNLN. And they were trying to overthrow the government, so they needed American intelligence officers and special forces guys to go down there, and my dad did. So anyway, he deployed, and then I couldn't train with him, so my mom, thinking my crazy 5-year-old son needs discipline, and not that my mom was a retired cop. Dad was a Marine, so discipline was bountiful in my house. But she thought, let me get him some more. So she took me in New Mexico, down the main street, and signed me up for judo. And I went in at 5. Everyone else was 11 and up. And I got beat up a lot until I figured out that being shorter and smaller than all these 11-year-olds was actually an advantage. And then I learned how to destroy people. And it was great. So judo was my first martial art. As a Marine, my father had us all over the world. So it was either quit martial arts or take whatever's available wherever we land. So I've probably been through 23 different systems now in my 37 years in the arts. And I blacked in Kenpo, Taekwondo, I had my second dan, and Chongdokwan Taekwondo, which doesn't even exist anymore, because now it's all World Taekwondo Federation, World Taekwondo Organization, and stuff like that. And then I picked up some others, and I train all the time, all over the place. But I think the difference between me and a lot of martial artists today, not all of them, but a lot of them, is I don't run my mouth. You're not going to ever see videos of me on social media challenging somebody or calling them a bunch of names. Who would I be talking about? I have no idea. I just don't do that, because I believe one of the traits of a real martial artist is humility, inner strength, and not, biceps, but I mean fortitude, inner strength, which helps build character and integrity and gives you the ability to persevere through hard times. I don't think those are things you should just memorize when you go into the dojo or the dojang. Those are things that you memorize, take to heart, and operate with every day in life. And there are a lot of martial arts today, or martial artists today, that may have some of those things, or even all of those things. But there's also a good majority that spend all their time running their mouths, hyping up the internet, looking for those feeds, wanting all these responses, challenging other fighters like 4th graders, 5th graders at school where I went. And that, in my mind, that's none of what I teach, nor is it any of what I learned from some of my greatest senseis, sifus, and masters.
So dad's a Marine, mom's a cop, a lot of discipline in the family, but it also sounds like you're talking about a lot of service. And did that factor into your decision to become a first responder?
Yeah, a lot of things kind of led me down that road. But, you know, mom's a cop, dad's a Marine. Brother went into the Marine Corps, that wasn't until later, but my brother eventually became Marine. He was a recon Marine, and then he got out and he became an LAPD cop. This was my little brother, 6 years younger than me. When I left the show at 18, I'd come from this long, my grandfather, World War II bomber pilot. You know, almost all of my family for generations had served something greater than themselves. Can you think of that as a statement? That's a statement, right? To serve something greater than yourself. What does that mean? You give up the pepperoni on a pizza when there's 3 people in the group because somebody doesn't like pepperoni? That's not it. You know, oligarchy means exactly to serve oneself. Well, the oligarchy is what led the Protestant Reformation. All the Protestants left England and came to America. That was the early, I mean, if you discount the Indians and the Vikings and other people who got there first, that was what really lent itself to the building of America. So to serve oneself, the opposite of an oligarchy, whether you are serving in 911, whether you're serving in the military, whether you are a mom or a dad or a brother or a sister or a grandson or a grandparent, the idea of serving something greater than yourself is all around us, but oftentimes today it's discounted. You know, and I don't know how it is here in Canada, but in America, a lot of folks are putting their parents in old folks' homes. I don't have the time, I gotta work 2 jobs, I do this, I do that. Don't have time, don't have the knowledge, whatever excuse you can come up with. The bottom line is it makes your life easier, right? But you're not serving something bigger than yourself. And that's, you know, big in the Latin cultures and Asian cultures and East Indian cultures is family. There's honor, there's devotion. And that's been lost a little bit in my country. I don't know how you guys feel about it or how it works here, but I wanted, after growing up around people like that, then I got on the show and I saw you guys hiding behind your mom's legs, and I realized, man, these kids are growing up looking at me like I thought of Superman. They're looking at me like I can save the world, like I'm a hero. Yep. And then I realized I wasn't. Then I realized I'm faking it on TV. And that bugged me a lot. So then I took a couple years. I bounced at nightclubs, taught martial arts, created a kickboxing program in Arizona for Master Allen at Foothills Karate Studio. Traveled and taught, and then one day I finally was going to college. I was working on my first degree, and a buddy of mine came in. He goes, "Hey man," I was bartending. He came into the bar, and he's like, "Hey dude, you should come check out the fire department." I was like, "Oh." So I went and checked out the fire department, and I fell in love with it because I'm crazy. I'm an alpha male. I love doing crazy stuff. The more dangerous, the better. And I thought, this is how, I mean, I'll never have a cape, but I'll be like so many others who are serving their community, who are serving those in need at their darkest hours. And then I discovered emergency medicine, EMTs, paramedics, and I thought, there's no reason I can't do that. And I thought this would be a good way for me to maybe do a little life-saving for real. And so I did it. And then I learned that just doing it wasn't enough, because if you're not teaching, then you're not on the cutting edge. You're not the sharpest you can be. If you're not teaching whatever it is you're doing on the regular and current research, then you're not as sharp as you can be. Not because you're dumb, but just because you're not teaching it constantly. Things fail. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? We all heard that. So then I got into teaching. And I started learning and precepting, and then I got credentialed through George Washington Medical University. I was at the Pentagon on 9/11, and then I went overseas for 4 years, and I was a medic attached to Marine Corps and Army Operations for 4 years in the Middle East. And I taught, and I worked, and I did my best to be there for moms and dads and brothers and sisters and all those that were in uniform and all the other civilians that were over there as contractors to try to make sure they got home. So I quit thinking about it, quit dreaming about it, and started doing it to the best of my ability.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah!
She is amazing. Her hands are flying. You know why? You know why? Because her hair's red. She's got the power.
Go power signer. So what recent projects do you have on the go right now? Sure.
A lot.
Oh God. Shall we alphabetize it?
Yeah. Or schedule another panel. So I just did a film with John Schneider called Tres Leches. It is rated R. Heads up, warning in advance. Those of you looking for wholesome, this is not it. It is rated R comedy. I play a super stupid... Do we have kids in the room?
We do.
Okay, so I'll be more careful. So I play a super stupid Southern cop who is trying to catch a teenage boy that, how to phrase this, had relations with my wife. But I'm too dumb to catch him. And he's dumb enough that he thinks he can drive from Baton Rouge to the Philippines for 50 cents a mile. So I'm still too stupid to catch that guy. That says something. So it's a comedy, it's fun, it's out there. Check out John Schneider Studios or Cineflix and you can find that, or Google it. And I did another film, much more family oriented. It's on Amazon. It's called Walk with Grace. And it's a dramedy, still trying to learn all these new words. But I play a wrestling coach. I have a great supporting role. I associate produce the film. And I play a wrestling coach with PTSD who is the conscience of the lead who left small town America and went and got big and famous in LA and forgot about his roots and his core values. And I kind of give him grief and help him get back there along with a couple other buddies. That one's cute. You want to watch that one? The guys with girlfriends, wives? Anybody? Brownie points. They're going to like that one. And then for those of you with the littles, I got called to pick up a small role in a film that was already shooting. The guy didn't show up. It was with Misha Barone and some soap opera guy who was supposed to be the dad. And they're like, hey, would you pop in and help save our film? It's filming now. This guy didn't show up. It's just like, we need you for 2 days to play a dad and a couple of scenes. So I'm in the whole film for like 15 minutes. And I'm the dad of a group of kids who run around in closets and get bad guys out of closets in the neighborhood. And then in the end, there's a surprise. So it's called Monsters at Large. You can find that on Amazon. That one's fun. Other than that, I have an online store. I ship to 240 countries around the world. I'm a published author. I've written on the martial arts. That's published. That's been out a while. I have a jewelry line I'm developing. I'm executive producing a video game called Black Salt Corruption. It is the world's only 3D martial arts arena fighting video game. And you can Google that. How many of you on Steam? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now it's on Steam. You can get it for, I think it's like $9.99 or $10. And you'll see my character. Just like Jason, I'm half naked from the waist up. And I got a red dragon tattoo down my arm. I can't imagine why that's there.
Couldn't imagine.
The Chinese chain whip with a spear tip. So you should check that out. It's super cool. And then we're going to drop on Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, I'm hoping early next year. So you check out that. And then there's, I'm trying to think of what I can summarize real quick. Autism Power. I work with autismpower.org. They're out of Columbus, Ohio. It is our goal. I'm tired of seeing people on the spectrum go to places that are supposed to be good for them. And what it turns out being is let's hold hands and go sit down and eat pizza and play video games and not learn, not be active, not be mentally, critically engaged in any way. There's no betterment in that sort of thing. It's just time consuming.
Yeah.
So our goal is to provide our ethos is live, work, and purpose. So the idea is we take school-age children or older and we bring them in to a greenhouse where we have hydroponic systems where we teach people about, we give them a green thumb. So whether it's growing herbs, plants, produce, flowers, things along those lines, they learn, and they're paid full wages, not discounted wages bagging groceries at a store. And they are around people who understand autism and know how to communicate and operate within the spectrum. So it's about giving them the ability to live better, work and create their own income, help provide for themselves, and help give them a purpose. Because once you understand agriculture on this level with produce and herbs and all these other things, there's a lot of other things you can do. So that's kind of the goal with autismpower.org. You can check them out online. Anthony Iacampo is a very good friend of mine. He's the president, and I'm on the board. And you can ask questions and tell him I sent you.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so there's a lot more. I just can't think of a lot of it offhand.
Well, before we turn it over to the fans for questions, I was curious to know if you had ever had a fan moment or an experience with a fan that stands out in your mind.
I have good ones. I have funny ones. I have some creepy ones. Oh, I gotta laugh. You want the creepy one?
Why not?
You guys, you're twisted. I knew it. All right. Yeah, you'll be watching the rated R movie I told you about earlier.
Yep, very likely.
Okay. All right. So this guy, there's this guy. He shows up. And he shows up at my table and he comes to me. He's like, "Hey man, I'd like for you to sign my butt." And I said to myself, I don't know if I really want to sign his butt. And then I was thinking, I think I'm going to skip this. So he looks at me and he goes, "All of the other guys, except for you and Karen Ashley, have already signed my butt." Now I'm getting creeped out.
Yeah.
I'm like, "You're telling me you've got all of my co-star signatures on your backside?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I went and had it tattooed after it was signed."
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's bad.
Now look, so many things go through my mind. A lot I have to leave out because we have littles. But I'll skirt around one of them, which is...
No. Yes. Yes.
At some point, this man is going to have relations with somebody else. And all over his bum are going to be a bunch of other people's names. How do you explain that in the bedroom? Hey, listen, so like you had a great date. Imagine this, you had a great date. You and this girl or you and this guy got along great. Everything is smashing. Chemistry is all there. So cool. And then you make it to the bedroom.
Oh, God.
And the moment is arriving and it's time to disrobe. Now before you know, how do you broach that with this beautiful girl who currently has interest in you? And say, by the way, I've got a bunch of names from Power Rangers tattooed on my butt. Yeah. Now let's jump on the other side of this coin and meet the girl. I'm sorry, what? Like now, if I was the girl, I would wait a minute to run out of the room because like a train wreck, I would still want to see it. Right? I'd be like, oh, okay, that's cool. Could you show me? Yeah. Oh my God, that is so cute. Look at that. That one just goes from here all the way to here. That's beautiful. Who are these people again? Oh, they're color coordinated. Okay, all right. You got a black ranger, a red ranger, a yellow ranger. It's just like an army thing. What are you talking about? And then once I saw it and listened to him stumble, then I'm pretty sure I would be like, I gotta go wash my hair. I get you on the flip side. We'll have to never try this again. So the stories, he comes to my table, he says this, I'm like, no, and then he dumps the guilt trip on me. He's like, but everybody else already did it. And I'm like, damn it, man. That means I'm gonna be the one guy
That one guy.
that didn't do it. I mean, I feel like it was a defensible position to be in, but I still felt bad. So, I'm like, all right, fine. Definitely he paid.
I hope so.
And he bought the pen that I was going to use. Because I was never going to touch anything else, including me. Yeah, I should have bought a pack of pens. So, I grabbed the pen and I'm getting ready and he's like, oh, hold on a minute. And Karen was sitting over at the table next and he goes over to Karen and starts pulling down her pants and then she leans over and sighs. I'm like, wait a minute. You told me everybody else already did this. He's like, well, she agreed. She just hadn't physically done it yet. And I'm like, so, and I looked over at Karen and Karen's looking at me and she's just like, and I went over, and so he comes over and now he's got to drop trowel, like drop the trowel.
Oh.
Like I'm now looking at the Holy Land. You know, I just, look man, the world is great. Everybody's welcome to do what they want to do. But I have never found any attraction in another man's hairy butt. So, I grabbed this pen. He's like, just, you know, whatever you want to do, you can make it, you know, as big as you want. I'm like, oh. All right. So I grabbed that Sharpie, and I straight up Zorro'd both cheeks. So somewhere in the world is now Zorro, but with my name on it, and all the other Power Rangers.
That's a question.
They couldn't. I signed all across both of them. They were lit. I was like, my name's long, I'm just warning you.
That's my name.
Well, with that, folks, let's turn the time over to the audience. I'll just stop laughing here. Any questions from the audience?
I didn't even get into the other body parts.
Oh, my God!
So many more.
This pertains to what you just said. How much did you charge him to sign?
A lot.
Fair enough.
It was like a lot. And my agent was there and he helped a lot. And that was before COVID. I can tell you, I was all over that hand sanitizer.
How about this
I'm
one?
not going to bother after that.
You're funny. Oh, there.
What Ranger did you like playing more, the Red Ranger or the Gold Ranger?
Well, I feel like the Red Ranger was the iconic character. That's the beginning. You know, that's the, in 40 countries and 90 languages around the world, this is where the show aired. The Red Ranger, without explanation, you put the picture up and everyone in the world knows what that is. Without explanation. So the Red Ranger suit is a global icon. The Gold Ranger suit was a ton of fun. It was awesome. I loved all the bling. It looked cooler. And actually, it's the most powerful Ranger they ever created.
That's correct.
Because they took the power from 3 other Rangers and then put it into Jason, and Jason had the power of 3 Rangers at one time. No other Ranger in the history of the show has had that.
Nope.
So he's hands down, he was the trifecta all by himself. So the Gold Ranger, I think, was the most powerful. But the Red Ranger he's the global icon. So I think I don't know that I could pick one. Jason, whether it was red or gold, was never defeated. He was the only Ranger, as far as I know, in the history of the show to fight a monster unmorphed without any powers while in a prison. He's the only Ranger to defeat Tommy.
Better than Tommy.
That's correct.
He knows. So, you know, Jason as a character is a one and done. Nobody else has some of those very same accomplishments. I think Jason's pretty special. But I love both suits.
The GOAT.
Fair enough.
You had a question.
Do you have a favorite piece of Power Rangers merchandise? And if so, what is it?
There's so much.
Or any of them, yeah, just one of your favorites.
You gotta love these questions. Yeah, it's great ones.
I'm thinking, because every year, you know, Hasbro is releasing more and more and more and more and more. Did I mention mention more.
Yeah.
So it's hard to keep track of all of it. I think if I had to, and next week I could give you a totally different answer, I don't know. But right now, the very original Red Ranger toy from '93, I think, is when it was released. That's the one. I was sitting on set, I was 18, a producer came down, put it in my hand, and that was the first time I'd held myself in my hand in a not weird way. Y'all are twisted. I was talking about going to the bathroom, okay? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that would probably be it. My other favorite would probably be the Pop 23 Funko, the original first.
The original.
Because now they're like,
Scares.
it was just the first one I saw, so it's kind of cool.
Thank you.
You kind of love like seeing yourself as a miniature. Like, I mean, that's incredible. Like,
At 18, can you imagine? The producer comes down and says, like, Osteen, he was Jewish. He's like, Osteen, take a look, here is your toy. That's me. That's me. Look, that's my face. By the way, I hate the picture, why didn't you ask me? That could literally be my high school, like, photo. It was so terrible. But it was pretty cool.
how about this guy right here?
Quick comment and question. I want to say thank you for inspiring me and so many other people. As a youth, I used to watch you do the crescent, for the drum crescent kid, and I was a martial artist for the same reasons, discipline and all that. And a huge inspiration back then. And thank you again today for inspiring me. I just learned that you were a responder. That's truly heroic and amazing. So thank you for that. So my question is, who inspires you?
That's a good question.
And this is where I'll piss some people off. Others will be all for it. Because as much as we talk about living in a world without discrimination, there's some things people just discriminate against. So number one, I believe in God. And I'm Catholic. And that is, number one, I think, the greatest role model for me to find a way to live, execute my life, humility at a massive scale in his story. And humility, honor, integrity, perseverance off the charts, whether you believe the story or not. It's incredible. So that would be a big one for me. Next would be my parents. My mom and dad were both walk soft but carried very big sticks. And that was kind of what I modeled Jason after. If you think back to the episodes, Jason, he was always even-keeled. He was never angry. He never, raw, that was never his deal. He was very even-keeled. He never bucked in or bowed down to Bulk and Skull. He was even-keeled. He didn't even get angry at him. Sometimes you just look at him like your mom looks at you when you make a mistake. But other than that, Jason was always kind of here. He was the rock for the team. And I got that from my parents. There's one occasion where Jason would break all that off. And that was when everything that could be done to keep the situation from escalating was over. And it was time to go to war. And that's when he said, it's Morphin time. And it's Morphin time. It wasn't a statement. It wasn't a request. It was a battle cry. It was his war cry. And that was him letting everyone know the game is now, it's now up. The gloves come off. So I got a lot of that from my parents, who could walk into a room and take command many times without saying a word. They were the people, they weren't big, they weren't imposing, but they always ruled gently, sometimes without people even knowing, because they didn't need to impose their will on others. So that is some of where I got it. And then as far as TV guys, if that's the question you're asking, man, I grew up watching Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris was just like the dude, right? Like, he was not a great actor, which is why he has the world's best one-liners. Because everything was one or two lines, you know? And so Lone Wolf McQuaid, Invasion USA, Braddock, 1, 2, and 25, you know, those were awesome. I thought they were great. Bruce Lee, Michelle Lee, from all the Drunken Master movies and Kung Fu Masters. Jackie Chan, incredible martial artist, did his own stunts, which is why I did mine. Every opportunity I could. So guys like that as far as TV goes. And if you don't know who Michelle Lee is, she's actually in the short film Black Salt that I did not film, but now I'm hoping to be involved with the new film coming up soon. She is incredible. Incredible. But she tends to get overshadowed a lot by a lot of the guys in the martial arts arena. You should check out Michelle Lee. She's incredible. So anyway, that's some of how I shaped my life, shaped my characters, and my own core values and morals. And I will tell you this, I don't care what you're doing in the world, I don't care what career you're after, not that I don't care, but what I'm saying is that whatever your career is, if your career is being a mom, or being a dad, or being a supporter of your family, in whatever the best fashion you can do it, there will always be someone who is willing to take more from you than you want to give in exchange, or take something from you in exchange for you giving up some form of your morals or your ethics. There's always someone that's going to take that from you if you'll give it to them. Don't give it to them. Ever. There are two things you leave in the world when you die. Anybody know what those are? What is it, big man?
Your legacy and your, I don't know.
That's a really good guess. So a legacy, the way I explain it, is you leave your name and you leave your reputation. Your name is going to be on your tombstone. It'll be on the minds and tongues of loved ones and family members. But your reputation is something you spend your whole life making. And creating that reputation is going to be based on a couple of things. So you guys are going to forget a lot of what I said, not 20 minutes after I walk out this door. You're going to forget a lot of what I've done, not 25 minutes after you walk out this door. But the reason you are all here today is because you remember one thing, and that was how myself and my castmates made you feel. How you make people feel is what they will never ever forget. And that will lead to your legacy and your reputation. Do people feel like you're a good man or a good woman? Or do they like you but think you're a dirtbag? That's what you're going to leave behind, your name and your reputation. So don't exchange who you are and what you believe in for others. It's not worth it. You believe in what you are, believe in what's important, and then those that can work with that are good people. Those that can't work with that might be good people, but they don't need to be your people. Move on.
That's awesome. Any question, Reagan?
First and foremost, I got to say thank you so much for giving your weekend to us. I know you're making a lot of dreams come true for a lot of fans, including myself. One question I do have. As we already know, this one might be a sensitive topic, so if you do want to pass on, you can. But in the early 2000s, as we already know, the original Yellow Ranger passed away. Since for the fans that never really got the opportunity to ever get a chance to meet her, can you tell us a little bit more about Trinity outside of the Power Ranger? What was she like on the set of Mighty Morphin?
Did you guys all hear that?
Trinity.
He wanted me to, Trini passed away in early 2000s, and he wanted me to talk about her outside of the show. All right, here's one for you. When my mom was a cop in the 1970s, her own police force tried to have her killed because women didn't belong. They literally tried to have her killed. That's women in the workforce in the 70s. Right? Police was a man's thing back then, and that's the way it should be. Thuy came over, 80s, not too far after that. Today we're all about equality and empowerment and women doing whatever they're capable of doing and being paid equally and treated with respect because they have the ability to earn it, just like a man, right? So Thuy came over in the 80s with her mom in the belly of a boat from Vietnam. And It was a long, terrible story. And I can never remember whether it was her that almost died of dehydration and everybody wanted to throw her overboard, or if it was her mom that was dying of dehydration and everybody wanted to throw her mom overboard. But the point is that one fought for the other in the belly of a boat, no toilets, so I can tell you in the heat, with all of the human fluids around, what a terrible environment that was, right? We're not talking Disney cruises here. They survived that trip, which was epic. She makes it to America as a little one. No English. She learned English by watching TV. Got her degrees, went through high school. And then guess what she did with her college career? She got a degree in engineering. Crazy, right?
Amazing.
And here, well, I won't speak here, I'm in Canada. In America, we have so many people griping about what's not given to them, about what governments owe them, about how terrible life is. And this little girl came to the country, learned English, worked her way through school. No excuses. No, the world is nobody's fault. She got herself through college and picked up an engineering degree. Engineering is, I mean, I have 2 degrees, but not one in engineering. Like that's some stuff right there, right? She was the nicest person. She was sweet. She was very intelligent. She was compassionate. And she always had time for others. And I loved her like a sister. So Thuy is someone that didn't just create a legacy on TV. She is a woman that is a role model, I feel, for a lot of women today that need to see under extremely terrible conditions. Because when she got here, she wasn't rich either. So she had to earn her way through college with the grades. And that was back before everybody was working hard on equality. And she did it. And that's a legacy for everybody, but especially for, I feel like, women today. It can be done, you can do it, and to hell with what everybody else thinks.
I want to thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. Whether we ask this person.
Hi, Jason. I just met you before. I just really love your series so much. For almost 30 years, you're the most favorite Red Ranger of most popular of all time. It is you. And I saw the Beast Morphers, the first crossover of you. My question is, what's the most experience in this first crossover of Beast Morpher series? Can you just explain how's the most favorite moments of the series before what in the future might be in the next crossover will be?
So as far as the future crossovers, I don't know. When they write them, well, I still won't be able to tell you because they'll probably put me under a non-disclosure. But when they come out, you'll probably think it's cool. As far as favorite moments, I mean, I got to meet 28 years, 27 years later, I got to meet the new guys. You know, who I was stunned. They reminded me of me. I was like, wow. And they were all still, I think 1 or 2 might have been 18, so they were in my zone. And they're filming in New Zealand. Anybody been to New Zealand? It's freaking amazing. It's amazing. Anybody in here a runner? Try running on the hills in Auckland. That'll wreck your world right there. I went from doing about 8 miles to doing like 3 in those hills. That was straight up. That was crazy. So I got to meet the new cast. I got to feel their energy. I got to see a couple of the older guys. Here's another story about what you can and can't do. One of the guys on set was the executive producer. When I filmed with them 27 years prior, he was a coffee getter. He was a PA. And he rose all the way to the top. So anyway, it was great to see some of the few guys from back in my day. And it was great to see the new guys and feel that energy and see that they were having some of the same struggles that I had had, and it was awesome. I wouldn't change it for the world.
That's great.
Nice, Jason. No, I feel like this all this time. I've been been over TikToks making a best Power Rangers morphers of over like 6 million viewers of doing morphing sequence. I blew on my TikTok, like long 10 to 255. I have over 160K followers in my TikTok experience. And from my experience, I thought it's just great idea to make this best, to make the morphing sequence to being cooperate with you if I wish I say so. But I really enjoyed it for your series. But congrats for almost 30 years of Power Rangers. And Zero Ranger 30 years ago, before you guys have been approaching the first adopted. I feel like I'm so vibration and so happy for you to see you. But my favorite person all time. That was you all the time.
Thank you.
And way to take that out on a high note. That's just thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've had a lot of fun, so let's express some gratitude and some thankfulness. Give it up, please.
Thank you for making our childhood awesome.
I love making your childhoods awesome. Thank you for making my whole career.
Morphin time!
Thanks so much, guys. Once a ranger, always a ranger.
Watch the potholes!
I can see you tomorrow.
I bet you will.